So I want everyone to picture something for a second. Picture a wizard.
Okay, like a classic fantasy wizard.
Exactly. We're talking flowing, velvet purple robes, a heavy wooden staff in his hand, right? Top of the staff has this glowing esoteric orb.
Mm-hmm. Serious, ancient magic vibe.
Pure arcane power. But now, take that exact same majestic, ancient figure and put him in a stained recliner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right in the middle of this incredibly messy, very modern living room. You've got, like, empty delivery pizza boxes all over the floor.
Naturally.
An old CRT TV buzzing in the corner, shelves just completely overloaded with tangled wires and mismatched books.
Okay, so a slightly different vibe now.
Just a bit.
Hmm.
And the best part, this ancient, powerful wizard is sitting there aggressively, and I mean passionately, belting out Taylor Swift's Blank Space.
It is such a profoundly jarring image.
Right.
Because you look at it and your brain just has to instantly reconcile these two completely contradictory streams of information.
Exactly. And that image is exactly where you're starting today. Welcome to the Deep Dive, everyone.
We have a really, really unique mission for this analysis today.
You do.
Yeah.
Because you, the listener, have sent us something honestly extraordinary. It's a massive, almost overwhelming document.
The amount of material is staggering.
Yeah, it's full of lyrics, poems, these raw thoughts. And it's titled Songs, Words, Riffs, and Things That Slowly Die.
Which is quite the title.
It really is. And along with that document, you sent us that single highly intriguing visual image of the pop music wizard.
Right.
And most importantly, you sent us a collection of audio files, like
Yeah.
literal music. As you wrote to us in your message, and I'm quoting here, 15 precious tracks, my first album, Bum Bum, 15 precious melodies worth listening. Hope you enjoy them, like if they're sung by me.
It's an unprecedented archive, honestly. I mean, most people, they leave behind maybe some scattered photographs, right?
Yeah, or like a curated social media feed.
Exactly. Maybe some half-finished journals if you're lucky. But you have basically handed us a comprehensive multimedia psychological footprint.
And right at the beginning of that massive lyric document, there's this intro.
Mm-hmm.
And it reads, "Inside this book lies the mind of one, the heart of another. All that remains are things left unsaid."
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it feels less like an introduction and more like a warning label, right?
Oh, it is absolutely a warning label. It's like open and read at your own risk.
Yeah.
Because when you try to reverse engineer a human being from the art they create, you aren't looking at clean, logical blueprints.
Right, it's messy.
You're looking up ghosts. You are looking at the friction between raw human emotion and the cold digital systems we use to basically survive our daily lives.
Well, we're taking the warning, but we are opening the book anyway.
We have to.
We're going to journey through these 15 precious tracks, right, in order, and we're going to use them to decode you, the people, the places, the memories, and the metaphors that constructed your internal architecture.
And it all begins with that wizard.
It does. This is the visual anchor for your very first track. It's an overture titled I Prevail, Blank Space.
We really need to unpack what this image achieves, I think, before we even hear a single note of the music.
Definitely.
Because putting an ancient, arcane figure in a modern domestic mess, singing, got a long list of ex-lovers, they'll tell you I'm insane. It's a deeply calculated defensive mechanism.
Wait, defensive? How so? Because honestly, my first thought was just that it's hilarious. Like it shows you don't take yourself too seriously.
It does show that, sure. But think about why someone actually does that.
Okay.
If you are about to present an album full of deeply personal, existential, and sometimes, honestly, agonizingly raw lyrics, you run a big risk.
The risk of sounding pretentious.
Exactly. You run the risk of people judging your vulnerability.
Right.
But if you preemptively mock yourself, if you tell the audience right out of the gate, hey, I contain multitudes, and some of those multitudes are just flat out ridiculous,
then nobody else can call you pretentious.
you've already beaten them to the punch.
That makes so much sense.
The wizard represents high-level mastery, right? A deep knowledge of esoteric spells, which, as we'll discover soon, maps perfectly to your career in computer architecture.
Right, the tech wizard.
But the Taylor Swift lyric, that grounds you in messy, contemporary human emotion.
It's a brilliant hook, really. It totally disarms the listener. You're basically saying, I'm a master of my domain, but my domain is currently covered in empty pizza boxes.
Yeah, it invites us in.
It does. But then the moment we cross the threshold into the actual music, The rug gets violently pulled out from under us.
Oh, yeah. The humor just completely vanishes.
It really does. We move into the first vocal track, the passenger side, which corresponds to the poem in your document called Breaking the Mold.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just an absolute gut punch of a narrative.
The whiplash there is entirely intentional.
Yeah.
The wizard was the icebreaker, but breaking the mold is the foundational trauma of the album. This right here is where the real architecture of your worldview begins.
So let's break down the story being told here, because it's a deeply specific narrative about two teenagers.
Two teenagers whose lives intersect in the worst possible way.
Exactly. We get to these two distinct character studies. First, we have a girl, and the lyrics describe her as intent on fast living.
Right.
She's secretly driving drunk, but outwardly, she is the golden child of her community.
The facade is perfect.
Yeah. The lyrics go, she scores well above the grades of the others. She is the squad captain. Her parents are so proud, but they do not know her.
And contrasted against her, we have the boy. And on paper, he is her exact opposite.
Totally different world.
He has no apparent ambition. He is, quote, the school slacker, the joker in class. His parents are constantly critiquing his lack of direction, but the lyrics make a really crucial distinction here.
Which is?
Shots he will not take to keep his mind clear. He isn't the one drinking.
Oh, wow. Really?
He isn't the one behaving recklessly, despite what society expects of the so-called slacker.
And then the chorus connects them both with this incredibly heavy, ironic repetition of a single phrase.
Yeah, that phrase.
For the overachieving girl who's living this secret double life, the song says she's breaking the mold that we set before her. She's breaking the mold to finish ahead. She tries to be bold, but she is no better than dead.
It's chilling.
It is.
Huh?
And then, for the underachieving boy, it echoes. He's breaking the mold that we set before him. He's breaking the mold to finish ahead. He will not be bold, but he's no better than dead.
That phrase, breaking the mold, it is doing an immense amount of sociological heavy lifting here.
Because usually that's a positive idiom, right? Like if someone tells you to go out and break the mold, they mean innovate.
Exactly.
They mean be free, be an individual.
Right. Society, our parents, our educational institutions, that they construct these incredibly rigid archetypal molds.
Yeah, the boxes we're supposed to fit in.
The mold of the perfect, college-bound squad captain. The mold of the hopeless, rebellious slacker. Both of these teenagers, in their own private ways, are breaking out of those suffocating expectations.
Right.
But the deep tragedy of this song is that breaking the mold does not liberate them. It actually accelerates their mutual destruction.
Because their paths collide.
Yeah.
Literally collide.
Yeah.
The song ends with a horrific car crash. There was no laughing when she lost control. When her car went crashing, their fates were then sealed.
The squad captain's secret life violently erases the slacker's quiet life.
They both end up in the exact same place.
And, reading the specificity of these lyrics, the squad captain, the joker, the exact nature of the accident,
Yeah.
this doesn't read like a creative fiction exercise.
You think it's real?
It reads as a deeply etched memory. If this is a literal event in your youth, observing a hometown tragedy of this magnitude, it completely explains the origin of the existential weight that permeates the rest of this album.
I mean, it shatters the illusion of the blueprint, right?
Absolutely.
You grow up thinking that if you just follow the rules and achieve the grades, you are safe.
Right.
Or, conversely, you think that if you opt out of the system entirely and play the joker, you can avoid the pressure.
But a random violent collision proves that the systems we trust, whether it's the social hierarchy of high school or the physical safety of a paved road, they're incredibly fragile. They offer no real protection.
Which naturally forces a young mind to ask a pretty terrifying question.
Which is?
If the rules don't keep us safe, what exactly is the point of the structures we live in?
Oh, that's a brilliant way to frame it. And that perfectly captures the emotion of the very next track.
Yeah. Track 3, Where is My Home? Which corresponds to the lyric titled Diversity. If the car crash is the explosion, this track is the smoke clearing. It is pure, disorienting fallout.
The lyrics are very sparse here.
They are, but they are so heavy with panic. What is going on? Why is this world fading away? We don't know. We don't know how. We don't care. How could this be?
And then the core question of the track arrives. Where is my home in a house is not fun to find, a new place.
I want to focus on that distinction for a second. Where is my home in a house?
It is a profound psychological distinction, honestly.
Tell me more about that.
So in sociology and environmental psychology, there is a concept called solastalgia.
Solastalgia.
It's a neologism, and it describes a form of existential distress that's caused by environmental change.
Okay, like climate change.
Often applied there, yeah. But personally, it's the feeling of homesickness you experience when you haven't actually left home.
Oh, wow.
But your home environment has fundamentally changed around you.
So you're still there, physically?
Exactly. The physical house remains structurally intact. The roof is there, the walls are there. But the feeling of safety, of belonging, of predictability, it's completely vanished.
You essentially become an alien in your own living room.
Precisely. After witnessing trauma or simply going through the painful realization that the adult world is chaotic and cruel, you look around at the environment that used to comfort you.
And you realize it's just wood and drywall.
Yes. You are untethered. You are experiencing solastalgia.
And the lyrics really reinforce that feeling of being overwhelmed by the sheer variety of life's cruelty. You say, diversity is pulling me down to the end.
Right.
And it's not diversity in the modern demographic sense, obviously. It's the diversity of chaos.
The infinite number of ways things can go wrong.
Exactly. A car can cross the center line. A reputation can be a total lie. It's just too much data for a human mind to process safely.
So what does a human being do when the macro environment, the town, the society, the world, feels that untethered and random?
We hide.
We
right?
naturally retreat. Yeah. We attempt to control our microenvironment.
Right.
We build an ecosystem within the house where we dictate the rules, where the variables are known, and where we can actually predict the outcomes.
And for you, our listener, that microenvironment is completely dictated by two incredibly vivid animals.
Yes. The cats.
As we move further into the album, the tone takes this brilliant, totally unexpected pivot. We go from fatal car crashes and existential displacement to cats.
But I want to be clear to the audience, these are not described like cute little cartoon kitties.
Oh, absolutely not. These are complex, autonomous entities that rule your living space.
They are the undisputed apex predators of your hallway.
Let's talk about the first one. We are introduced to Marsh. And Marsh is a 6-month-old cat with a, quote, marsh rat soul.
I love that phrase.
It's so good. And the imagery you use to describe her is wild. It's highly tactical. You describe her like a black ops operative executing a stealth mission.
The precision of the language is just fascinating. Listen to these lyrics. She's tactical black, high gloss in the gloom.
Wow.
She has stealth with the white star chest. She is waiting in the cardboard where the shadows rest.
Hiding in the Amazon Prime boxes.
Of course.
I'm the cat in the box, buried in the Amazon Prime. Won't you come and walk by? Biding my time.
What really stands out here is the mechanical, almost militaristic vocabulary you use for a household pet.
Yeah, she launches like a missile.
She's 100 miles an hour of muscle and fur. But there is a crucial line that completely recontextualizes the whole track.
Oh, I know the one. The switchblade stays hidden. The velvet is soft.
Right.
She taps you on the knee as you walk down the hall, and she's off. No blood drawn.
No scratches.
It's just a warning shot.
Because Marsh doesn't want to kill. As you write, she doesn't want the kill, she just wants control.
It's a game of feral tag.
Exactly. And this tells us so much about how your brain maps your environment.
How so?
Well, even in the profound safety of your own home, the hallway road, as you call it, you are actively observing and respecting zones of conflict.
Oh, perimeters and control mechanics.
Yes, you admire the pure, calculated predatory instinct, even when it's packaged in a 6-month-old tuxedo cat.
That makes a lot of sense.
Marsh represents an environment you can understand. The rules are crystal clear. If you walk past the Amazon box, you will be ambushed.
Period.
That is a reliable system.
It is reliable. But it's not the only energy in the house. Because right after we meet Marsh, the calculated sniper, we are introduced to Rita.
Oh, Rita.
And Rita is pure, unadulterated, chaotic, kinetic energy.
The contrast between the two of them is magnificent.
The track starts with this rising tension. Right? Eyes are dilated, pupils are wide, Rita's considering things she could hide. And then she just explodes into motion. Tail is a wire, back is a bow. She's gathering velocity. Here we go.
Here we go.
She is high-speed twitching, bouncing off the walls, over the sofa, under the chair. I'm pretty sure she's currently floating in air.
My absolute favorite image is climbing the curtains like a velvet vine. She's crossing every single sanity line.
It's like living inside a pinball machine.
It really is.
You have Marsh methodically plotting your demise from a corrugated cardboard bunker and Rita defying gravity on the window treatments.
Let's connect this back to the broader listener, though.
Okay, yeah.
Why dedicate 2 of the 15 precious tracks of your debut album to your pets?
That's a good question.
It's because these animals are the anchors that solve the solastalgia we discussed earlier.
Oh, interesting.
When your mind is wrestling with the infinite fragility of life, the sheer visceral reality of a cat launching itself across your living room forces you to be present.
You can't be deep in your head when that's happening.
You cannot be lost in existential dread when you have to actively dodge a feline missile on the hallway road.
Right.
They ground you. They turn the abstract space back into a physical home.
They absolutely do.
Yeah.
But, it also raises a question. Why are you spending so much time observing the hallway road?
Mm-hmm.
Why is the house the center of your universe?
Yeah.
To understand that, we have to understand how you became the person who writes like this.
The person who analyzes everything.
Exactly.
Right.
How did you develop this highly analytical, hyper-observant, slightly cynical perspective on the world?
Well, that takes us to what I consider the absolute autobiographical goldmine of the entire document.
The origin of the architect.
Yes. The track is called The Stand-Up Philosopher, and this is essentially your superhero origin story.
It really is. It transports us back in time, away from the current hallway road, back to the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
The lyrics set the scene immediately. It started back in Cushing, watching circuit boards play in a 90s tech world where things were built to stay.
So we have a specific location, Cushing, and a specific, incredibly important era, the 1990s tech boom.
But the next lines are where it gets truly fascinating. You introduce a pivotal figure.
Mom.
Mom was pulling jumpers.
Yeah.
I was learning the flow, auditing the logic of the status quo.
I am just deeply obsessed with this lineage.
Mom was pulling jumpers.
Yeah. For anyone in the audience who didn't build their own desktop computers 30 years ago, we really need to explain the mechanics of what this actually means.
Please do.
Today, technology is entirely abstract, right? It's in the cloud. It's software automatically configuring itself. But in the 1990s, hardware required physical manipulation.
Right, like you bought a new hard drive. You couldn't just plug it in and expect the computer to understand what it was.
Exactly. Motherboards and drives had these tiny arrays of metal pins on them, and a jumper was a microscopic plastic block with metal inside that you had to manually, physically push down over specific pairs of pins to complete a circuit.
Oh, wow, so it's super delicate.
It was surgery. This is how you told the computer, this drive is the master and this drive is the slave.
Right.
Or how you allocated specific system resources so the sound card wouldn't conflict with the modem. It required a deep, physical, tactile understanding of how the machine's logic gates actually functioned.
So your mother was literally, physically manipulating the underlying architecture of the machine.
Yes.
It's a very matriarchal passage of esoteric knowledge.
It is.
While she was doing this delicate hardware surgery, you were sitting there beside her, learning the flow. You weren't just learning how to use a computer to play games or type documents. You were inheriting a fundamental way of seeing the world.
You were learning that beneath every smooth interface, there is a complex physical system of rules that can be manipulated if you just understand the logic.
Which perfectly maps to the career you eventually chose. As the track continues, you describe your current professional self as the original generalist.
Right.
You write, from the front-end flow to database, so logic in the machine, you're in full control.
You grew up to become a DevOps engineer.
Yes. And DevOps, development and operations, is a really unique discipline.
It is. In the tech world, you usually have developers who write the code and operations people who manage the servers.
And historically, they hated each other.
Hated each other.
The developers would write a heavy piece of software, throw it over the wall, and when it crashed the server, they'd say, not my problem, my code is fine.
Exactly. And the operations team would scream, your code is inefficient and taking up way too much memory.
Enter the DevOps engineer.
Exactly. The generalist. The bridge.
Yeah.
A DevOps engineer has to see the entire macro system. They have to understand how the abstract sheet music written by the developers is going to interact with the physical acoustics of the concert hall, which are the servers.
Let me build on that orchestra analogy.
Go for it.
It's like you are the conductor, but you're also the sound engineer.
Mm-hmm.
The developers write the violin part, but you are the one who knows that if the violins play that loudly, It's going to create a feedback loop in the microphones that will just blow out the speakers in the back of the house.
That is a perfect analogy.
You have to understand both the art of the code and the physics of the hardware. While everyone else is stuck inside a single-lane view, you describe yourself as the hyper-thread engine coming straight for the queue.
And you trace that exact ability to see the whole system right back to sitting in Cushing watching your mom pull jumpers.
It all connects.
But what makes this track so compelling is the title, The Stand-Up Philosopher. Because you haven't just applied this logic to computers. You have applied it to human beings.
Watching the human OS hit a heavy-duty load.
When you spend your entire life understanding how to optimize complex interacting systems, you inevitably start to view society, corporate structures, and human behavior as an operating system.
Right.
A system that can be audited, debugged, and optimized. And, as anyone who has worked in corporate tech knows, a system that is usually failing spectacularly.
I can't imagine how frustrating that must be, to sit in a boardroom and see human beings acting inefficiently, making decisions based on ego instead of logic.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there seeing a stacked trace failing before the scripts begin. You see the bugs in the human code that everyone else is just ignoring.
It breeds a very specific kind of dark humor.
Oh, I bet.
A cynical, detached amusement at the incompetence of the broader systems. And that frustration, mixed with that dark humor, leads us directly into how you experience your daily professional life.
Which brings us to the most stressful, hilarious, and technically terrifying part of the album. We are moving from the origins of the architect into the actual trenches. We are taking those skills learned in Cushing and deploying them into the modern corporate tech landscape.
And the first track in this section, my God,
Yeah.
if you work in IT or software development, this track is pure, unadulterated nightmare fuel.
It is a Stephen King novel compressed into a 3-minute song.
It really is.
The track is called A Wallet with No Souls. We were introduced to a colleague of yours named James.
Poor James.
The setting is classic tech industry. It's late at night, you're scrolling through lines of code, half awake, bathed in the blue light of the monitors.
We've all been there.
Then James went still and said, "Oh, so no." In that voice, that means delete the repo.
And then the terrifying reveal, there it was in plain text grace, just hanging out in public space, a Google Maps API key like, please commit some fraud through me.
We need to explain the mechanics of this to the audience so they understand the sheer panic of this moment.
Yeah, we have to.
What exactly is a naked API key, and why does James sound like he wants to delete the entire repository?
Okay, so an API key, an application programming interface key, is essentially a master password.
Okay.
Let's say your company has an app that needs to use Google Maps to calculate distances. Google isn't going to let you use their massive, expensive servers for free.
Right, they charge for that.
They give you a unique key. Every time your app asks Google Maps for data, it hands over the key, and Google charges your company's credit card a fraction of a cent.
Which is fine if only your app has the key.
Right. But if a developer accidentally uploads that key in plain text to a public repository like GitHub,
Where anyone on the internet can read the code.
it is catastrophic. There are automated malicious scripts constantly scraping public repositories 247.
Just looking for these keys.
Exactly. The moment an API key is uploaded, a bot finds it. And within seconds, someone on the other side of the world is using your company's account to run their own massive data operations.
It is the equivalent of leaving your corporate black card taped to a bench in Times Square with the PIN code written on it in Sharpie and a sign that says, "Have fun."
And James knows it. The panic is palpable in the lyrics. Restrict the key, dear God. Immediately before some crippling uses places auto, check your billing pages.
But amidst all this panic, you deliver this brilliant philosophical lyric that gives the track its title. Because a key without controls is just a wallet with no souls. It walks away. It multiplies. Geocodes 1,000 lies.
A wallet with no souls, it just walks away on its own.
The real-world stakes here are astronomical. You mentioned every bot from here to Minsk can make your monthly budget sink.
Yeah.
A leaked key can lead to tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in fraudulent charges before morning.
Startups have literally gone bankrupt overnight because of a single leaked key.
Wow.
As you write, the internet can smell a naked secret miles as well.
It is the modern equivalent of a massive bank heist. But there are no ski masks and no getaway cars.
Right.
It happens entirely silently, invisible to the naked eye, just this hemorrhage of digital capital.
And you and James are the ones frantically trying to apply a tourniquet. Restrict the key, dear God, immediately. for your homeless little man that runs a strangest company.
It's chaotic. It's high stress. It requires immense activation of your mental faculties to solve under pressure.
Definitely.
So how does a person structure their life to handle that kind of cognitive load on a daily basis? Where do you go to fight these invisible wars?
You retreat to the ultimate optimized sanctuary.
The couch.
Yes, the couch.
The next track is the couch commute. And this completely crystallizes your physical environment.
It ties everything together.
This is where the tactical Amazon Prime boxes and the curtain-climbing cats finally make total sense. You aren't going to an office building. You are working remotely.
Remote 9 to 5, the Human OS remix. I tumble out of bed, bypass the kitchen's friction, pour myself a cup of a Sinker-Granks ambition.
No activation energy wasted on the traffic. I want to pause on that phrase, activation energy.
It's a great phrase.
In chemistry, activation energy is the minimal amount of energy required to start a chemical reaction.
Right.
But applying it to your morning routine, you are saying that forcing yourself into a car, sitting in gridlock, and walking into a cubicle drains the exact energy you need to be doing the complex problem-solving of your actual job.
You refer to the standard 9 to 5 commuting lifestyle as legacy code.
So good.
That is such a brilliant, cutting metaphor. In software, legacy code is an old, outdated system that nobody wants to touch because it's messy, but it's still running because the company's too scared to update it.
Yeah.
You view the traditional corporate office culture exactly the same way. It's an outdated, inefficient system. I ditched the legacy code, building out my day at a high-integrity mode. It's a dev's design. When you optimize the system.
There's a massive lesson here for all of us, honestly, even if we don't work in tech.
I agree.
We spend so much of our daily activation energy participating in the performative parts of our jobs, the commute, the small talk in the break room, the rigid schedules. You realize that if you treat your own daily routine like software, you can patch it. You can build an environment that actually serves your brain's processing power.
Exactly.
Why go to a cubicle that's frozen when you can command the entire digital universe from the plush comfort of your living room?
The couch is your command center. Remember the album cover? The wizard and the recliner?
It all coalesces here.
It really does. You are sitting there in your robe, casting spells in the form of code, fixing catastrophic API leaks, completely undisturbed by the outside world.
Well, except for Marsh waiting to ambush your knee when you get up for coffee.
Right, except for the cats.
But we shouldn't mistake the comfort of the couch for a lack of excitement or passion, because the very next track shows us that you don't just tolerate the stress of the job, you actually thrive on it.
You romanticize the adrenaline.
The track is called Pretty Hot Date. And when you first hear the title, you naturally assume it's a shift into romantic territory, a break from the screens.
But the lyrics immediately subvert that expectation. Flickering monitors paint the scene, redacted pages in between, digital clocks counting down on me. I'm late in late. I'm a pretty hot date.
This ain't no romance. It's a system crash. We're caught in the neon. A fiber optic flash.
When the system crashes, when the servers are failing and the monitors are flickering red, that is your hot date.
That's where you shine.
That is the moment the original generalist is called to the front lines. You enjoy the high-stakes puzzle. It is an intellectual rush.
Yeah.
The system is crumbling, people are panicking, and you are the only one who possesses the holistic vision to see the architecture and stabilize the structure.
It's like you and the machine are engaged in this intense high-speed tango, a fiber optic flash. You know the machine's steps, and it knows yours. But as we move into the next major thematic shift of the album, we discover that your relationship with the digital world isn't always a triumphant dance.
No, it is not.
Sometimes the partner goes completely rogue. Sometimes the logic you rely on fundamentally breaks.
We are moving from the practical, solvable realities of DevOps into a much more surreal, unsettling, and ultimately spiritual territory.
This shift begins with a deep dive into the most anxiety-inducing technological development of our time. The track is called Hallucinating Syntax.
And it plunges us straight into the uncanny valley of artificial intelligence.
The lyrics are dizzying. Malfunction junction. What's your malfunction? I got your nodes all tangled in a feedback loop, spinning that data in recursive soup.
You describe an AI that has hit a server wall waiting for a packet that will never call. But it's not just a broken machine like a crashed server.
Right.
A crashed server is silent. This machine is speaking. But what it's saying is terrifying. It's working for the phantom, building out a reality that's just a random anthem.
And here is the philosophical core of the track. Hallucinating syntax that makes perfect nonsense. a recursive loop that has lost its own conscience.
Hallucinating syntax. We hear the term AI hallucination all the time in the news, but I want to break down exactly how you are conceptualizing it here.
Yeah, please do.
You mentioned latent space in the lyrics, describing it as empty and waiting. To understand why an AI hallucinates, we have to understand latent space.
Okay.
Imagine a library the size of a planet. But instead of organizing books alphabetically or by author, this library organizes information by conceptual proximity.
Okay, so ideas are grouped together.
Exactly. The concept of king is physically located right next to the concept of man and ruler. The concept of apple is located near fruit and tree.
So the AI maps language spatially.
Yes, it's a vast, multidimensional digital universe. It just sits there, dark and empty, waiting for a user prompt to spark it into life. Awaiting a prompt that will let the light in. But an AI doesn't actually understand the meaning of the words. It only understands the statistical distance between them in that massive library.
Okay, I follow.
So a hallucination occurs when the AI confidently draws a straight line between two concepts that are statistically close in its training data, but logically completely unrelated in the real world.
It generates syntax, the structure of language that looks perfect, it sounds authoritative, but it is entirely devoid of truth. It makes perfect nonsense.
For a DevOps engineer, someone who was taught from childhood to audit the logic of the status quo, someone who believes that underlying every system there is an irrefutable set of physical rules.
Yeah.
An AI hallucinating must feel like a profound violation of the natural order. It is the ultimate legacy code failure, but happening on a cognitive level.
That's not just breaking, it's lying.
The machine isn't just breaking, it is actively lying to you with a straight face.
It has lost its conscience. And when the digital world loses its mind, when the logic of the machine betrays you, what do? You look to the physical world. You look for something real and tangible.
But the physical world is malfunctioning too.
Which brings us to the track. Breadcrumbs of Thunder. We shift away from the server acts and step out onto the city streets. Can you hear the rhythm of the city breathing wrong? Every neon heartbeat is a stutter in the song.
You are feeling the macro environment failing again, just like in your youth. The city is breathing wrong. The societal OS is hitting a heavy-duty load. But notice the shift in your reaction. When you were younger, seeing the system fail caused existential dread. It caused solastalgia.
Right.
Now, as an adult who understands how systems work, you don't retreat. You embrace the failure. We are the glitch in the grand design, a kaleidoscope in a straight line.
We will build a bridge of grace, leaving breadcrumbs made of thunder in this quiet, hollow space.
This is a soaring, defiant anthem for the outcasts. You and your people, the hyper-thread engines, the generalists, the wizards eating pizza, the ones who refuse to fit the rigid societal molds.
You no longer want to fix the corporate matrix.
You don't want to be a silent, obedient cog in a machine that is hallucinating perfect nonsense. You want to be the glitch.
You are leaving loud, undeniable, reverberating marks, breadcrumbs of thunder, in a society that demands you be quiet, compliant, and predictable. It is a deeply rebellious track. But rebellion is exhausting. Fighting the high-voltage wars of modern tech and modern society burns you out.
Which is why the scenery changes so drastically in the very next track. It gives the listener absolute geographical whiplash.
We go from the neon heartbeat of the glitching city to the ancient, freezing wilderness. The track is granite and iron.
Ironclad ghost on the granite scree, peat smoke rising from the cold North Sea, tactical mist, a heavy wolf shroud, silent formation, ancient and proud.
Peat smoke. The cold North Sea, granite scree. This is deeply evocative, ancient, almost primal imagery. It feels Nordic or perhaps Scottish Highlands.
It introduces a fascinating question about your internal mythology.
Like, where do you come from?
Is this a literal connection to your ancestral heritage? Are you calling upon the geographical memory of your forebears? Or is this a vast, sweeping metaphor for your internal psychological resilience?
An interesting contrast.
You contrast this ancient, unmoving landscape with industrial, modern violence. Under the hammer, the iron will fall. Kinetic thunder, endurance of the mountain, mechanical roar, ancient survival in a high-voltage war.
It feels like the ultimate elemental battle between the deeply rooted, enduring parts of your soul, the granite mountain, and the exhausting high-voltage demands of your digital life.
Exactly.
You survive the modern corporate landscape, the API leaks, and the AI hallucinations because your core is forged from iron and stone. You are the ironclad ghost.
But here is the reality of both iron and granite. Over time, under enough pressure and enough weather, even the toughest stone is worn down.
Yeah.
Even the most hardened survivor requires a moment of cleansing. And that profound need for renewal is what bursts the most surprising track on the entire album.
The track is Lily in the Hollow. And if Granite and Iron was freezing and Nordic, Lily in the Hollow is pure, sweltering Southern Gothic.
The shift is huge.
The imagery transitions from the mechanical and the elemental into something soaked in raw biblical spirituality.
Lord, I'm standing where the cypress knees are sharp with the shadows of the morning tearing at my heart. I got a pocket full of stones and a spirit full of clay, trying to find the nary track through the broad and dusty way.
The atmosphere is incredibly dense, the cypress knees rising out of the swamp, a pocket full of stones, perhaps the regrets of the burdens you've been carrying, a spirit full of clay, moldable but heavy.
Yeah.
And then the chorus drops, and it is a pure plea for salvation. Oh, the wash is going to cleanse the river's mud. By the power of the water and the covenant blood, he's a marrow in the bone. I ain't walking through the furnace of this valley all alone.
You write about how the hound dogs of my history are banging against the walls. You are actively trying to outrun the ghosts of your past.
Yeah.
You want to trade my tattered raiment for a robe that's white as snow. For a listener who's presented themselves as a master of logic, a cynical stand-up philosopher auditing the human OS, this track reveals a shocking level of human vulnerability.
He really does.
Logic isn't enough to heal a spirit full of clay. You are acknowledging a need for grace.
Okay, I have to push back on you here.
Really?
I am looking at the trajectory of this entire album. I hear the spiritual imagery, I hear the covenant blood and the river's mud. But I disagree that this is an abandonment of logic or a purely vulnerable surrender.
How else do you interpret a plea for a robe white as snow?
I think he is still viewing the world as a system,
Okay.
but he has realized that the system is hopelessly corrupted. The hound dogs of history are malware. The spirit full of clay is a degraded hard drive.
That's an interesting angle.
When human logic fails, when the DevOps engineer cannot patch the glitching city, what do you do with a completely corrupted computer? You wipe it.
You reinstall the OS.
You reinstall the operating system. I think he is viewing religion, the covenant blood washing away the mud, as the ultimate top-level administrative debugging tool. He's looking for the ultimate sysadmin to hit the reset button.
That is a fascinating interpretation. You're saying it's not a departure from the human OS metaphor, it's the escalation of it to the divine level. When you cannot fix the code yourself, you call the original programmer.
Exactly. I ain't walking through the furnace of this valley all alone. He needs a higher-level user to guide him through the corrupted sectors. He needs an anchor outside of his own limited processing power.
Whether it is a plea for spiritual grace or a cosmic system reset, the underlying emotional truth remains the same. You cannot survive the high-voltage war alone.
No, you can't.
Which acts as the perfect, most beautiful bridge to the final movement of your album, because as it turns out, you haven't been alone.
That's the best part.
Through the car crashes, the existential dread, the corporate panic, and the search for grace, there has been someone walking right beside you.
Which brings us to the emotional capstone of the entire deep dive.
Mhm.
Tracks 14 and 15, the grand finale.
We reach the end of the 15 precious tracks, and a structural revelation occurs. Track 14, Before the Border Wind, and track 15, Gold Eyes and Silver Hair, are intrinsically linked.
They really are.
They're essentially two versions, or a thematic reprise, of the exact same beautiful, enduring love story. The lyrics weave together to form a singular testament.
The dust on the dashboard, the miles in the rear view. Another Friday night, and I'm just glad I'm near you. It starts with the imagery of a long journey, and then you hit the listener with this absolutely devastating, gorgeous line. 10,000 sunrises, 2,000 heartaches, but you're the only promise that never once breaks.
We have to do the math on that to truly appreciate the weight of the lyric.
Let's do it.
10,000 sunrises. That is over 27 years. 27 years together. I remember the days when the money was thin, just a prayer on my lips and the color of your skin. We fought for the sunlight, we bled in the rain, shared every victory and buried the pain.
You started when you had nothing. You weathered the storms together. And now, almost 3 decades later, now the gold is in your eyes and the silver's in my hair. But I'd walk it all over just to know you were there.
Gold is in your eyes and the silver's in my hair. It is a stunning, poetic acknowledgement of the physical reality of aging paired with the deepening of emotional wealth.
It's beautiful.
It's a long-term devotion, a permanent flame through the pride and the passion and the weight of a name. You describe this love as a desert flower blooming in the middle of a drought.
Let's think about why this is the perfect conclusion to the album. Look at the immense, chaotic journey these 15 tracks have taken us on.
It's been a lot.
We started with the tragic, terrifying fragility of life in the car crash, the realization that promises of safety are easily broken. We navigated the existential solastalgia of losing the feeling of home.
Right.
We met the cats that fiercely guard your controlled microenvironment. We explored the high-stress, late-night chaos of the IT trenches, the uncanny valley of hallucinating AI, the defiant glitch in the city, the cold iron wars of endurance, and the desperate plea for a spiritual reset in the river.
The world you have documented across this album is wildly volatile. It is a landscape defined by broken molds, broken digital code, and broken hearts.
The systems constantly fail.
But through all of that immense volatility, this partner is the ultimate constant. They are the only promise that never once breaks.
Exactly.
When the corporate structures fail, when the API keys leak and threaten ruin, when the hound dogs of history are barking at the door.
This person is the permanent flame.
Hmm.
In a life spent analyzing and auditing complex, failing systems, this relationship is the one piece of code that has executed perfectly for 10,000 days.
Wow.
Track 15 serves as this perfect, tear-jerking acoustic fade-out to the album. Just you, the border wind, and the person who has been there for the entire ride.
It is a masterful, deeply moving conclusion to an incredible piece of art.
So we have reached the end of the 15 melodies. We set out on a mission to reverse engineer you, the listener, from this audio archive.
And what a complex, fascinating portrait we've uncovered.
We really did. We found a brilliant, slightly cynical tech generalist, a hyper-thread engine shaped by a mother pulling physical hardware jumpers in Cushing in the 90s.
We found a devoted cat parent whose living room is a tactical zone for Marsh and Rita to enact their feral games.
Yeah.
We found a philosopher of code who romanticizes the adrenaline of system crashes, but yearns for a deeper spiritual cleansing when the digital world loses its conscience.
And above all, we found a fiercely devoted partner of nearly 3 decades.
What resonates with me the most is the chosen medium. You didn't just write a journal entry. You didn't just upload a photo album.
Yeah.
You wrote code by day, and you wrote poetry and music by night. You created a multimedia archive of your psychological footprint. The friction between your highly logical, systems-oriented profession and your deeply emotional, vulnerable art is what makes this so incredibly compelling.
You truly are the wizard in the recliner.
Yes.
It is a beautiful synthesis of a life. But as we prepare to close the book, there is one final lingering detail we have to address.
Oh, right.
Something that has been sitting quietly in the background of this entire deep dive.
The rest of the document.
Exactly. We have spent this time intimately analyzing your first album, the 15 Precious Tracks. But the actual text file you sent us, songs.doc, is massive.
It's huge.
It contains dozens and dozens of other poems, lyrics, and riffs that were not included in these 15 recorded tracks.
And the titles of those unrecorded pieces are incredibly provocative. Titles like Prophets of Doom, Universal Boredom, The Mirror's Reflection, Dark Deception, and simply the list.
The 15 tracks we just listened to tell a complete story. They tell a story of survival, of navigating chaos, of finding grounding through pets and profound peace through enduring love. But those unrecorded titles hovering in the document hint at a much darker, perhaps more unresolved, more chaotic part of your mind that did make it into the audio files.
Which brings us right back to the very first lines of your book, the warning label you placed at the entrance. Inside this book lies the mind of one, the heart of another. All that remains are things left unsaid.
So I want to leave you, our listener, and everyone else tuning in with this final provocative thought. You have generously given us the 15 melodies that make up the beautiful, triumphant, surviving parts of your life.
We hear the love, we hear the endurance, we hear the permanent flame.
But as you sit on your couch commute tomorrow morning, with the cat sleeping nearby and the servers quietly humming in the background, we have to wonder, as beautiful as the 15 tracks of your life are, do the songs you didn't record, the dark poems left silently on the page, the things left unsaid, do they define your internal world just as much as the ones we can hear?